Okay, welcome back. So now we're gonna take the animation we made in the previous lesson and just turning into a forward walk instead of a treadmill walk. And it's a little bit of a formula and it requires some math, but don't worry, we're gonna be using a calculator for that, so you should be good. So the first thing we need to figure out is the length of one step. And we can just grab one of the feet. I'm gonna grab the one in the front. And we need to look at the values here in the Y location. So that of course depends on which direction your character is walking in. You can see from the gizmo here and from the axis here on the ground that my character is walking on the green Y axis. But if you turn your character a different way, then you have to adjust that, of course. And so what I need to know is how long each step is. So one step is from frame 0, where the stride position on this foot is in the front, all the way to frame 12, where the foot is in the back. That's the range I need to figure out. So I'm just gonna go here and I'm gonna grab this value. I'm just gonna ignore the minus sign and I'm just gonna go Control C and then just open the calculator on your computer, Control V, and paste that value. Then do the plus sign. Basically, our character right now is facing in the negative direction, which means we're starting with a negative value, and then as I scroll forward, it's gonna go to the positive value, as you can see here. So we know that this value, 0.43024, is how far in the negative direction the foot travels from 0. So it's not the length of the entire step, it's just from 0 to the extreme position, it's minus 0.43024. But then I'm gonna go scroll all the way to frame 12, and I have a value 0.431472. So I just need to copy that as well, and I'm gonna add it to that previous value. So I hope that makes sense. So if the entire step was happening just in the negative values or just in the positive values, then I wouldn't have an issue like this, but because part of it is in minus, part of it is in plus, I'm just gonna add those two values together. And because our animation is 2 steps long, it's 24 frames and 2 strides long, we need to know how far the character travels in those 2 steps. So all I need to do now is just times 2. And I'm gonna get this value, and this is how far the foot, or just the character in general, travels in 24 frames. Now I can just copy this value, and I'm gonna bring it into this God node. I need to open my location Y again, and I don't need all these keys in the middle. So I'm going to leave frame 0 as value 0, but on frame 24, I want to paste that value from my calculator. And now if I press play, you see the character is going backwards, and that's because I don't have that minus sign, because we know that our character is going in the negative direction. So I'm just going to add minus to it. And now he's walking forward. But we can see that our animation is looping, and that's from making that cyclic before. So just on this Y location axis, I'm just gonna select both keys, press Shift E, choose linear extrapolation, and I'm gonna press Shift E again and clear cyclic. And now you can see that our character is gonna just continuously go forward throughout the animation and after that as well. And now you can see Max moving forward perfectly. The feet are staying planted on the ground nicely without any sliding, and this is what we want. So basically what's happening is that while the character is walking in place, the God node is now pushing him forward. And because we figured out the value of one step where the foot normally would be sliding back on the treadmill, it's compensated for by the God node moving forward, which means that now the foot is staying perfectly stuck in place. And that's what makes it look like he's walking forward. And because we didn't have any values on the Y location on the cog, now it's just being pushed forward by the God node. And that's why we don't want any back and forth when we're animating the cog on a treadmill. And that's also why we want that perfect linear line while the character is on the treadmill and the foot is planted on the ground. So hopefully it makes more sense now why we do that. And now, it's still a looping animation going forward, but what you could do next is use animation layers, create a new layer on top of it, and then just start adjusting the walk, maybe having the character turn or change expression, blink, and so on. You can layer that on top of this animation now if you want to. Or if it's, let's say, a background character that doesn't really need any nuanced animation, you can just put in a walk cycle and just have the character walking back and forth in the background of your shot. So hopefully that makes sense. I would suggest rewatching this a couple of times until you grasp exactly what's happening, because I feel like it's a little bit complicated. But yeah, hopefully this helps, and see if you can do this with your own character and your own walk cycle as well. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.